All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Steve Smith. I'm with Advantage Industrial Automation, and we would like to thank you and welcome you to the What's New in iFIX 6.0, What's in It for Me WebEx. This is going to be about a 30-minute WebEx. It'll be moderated by Scott Duhame, who's the iFIX product manager. I'd just like to ask a couple of housekeeping things, that everybody please make sure their phones or computers are on mute. And you hold any verbal questions to the end, but if you have any you want to enter during the WebEx, please enter them in the chat window. And with that, we'll let Scott start.
Hey, thank you very much, Steve. Appreciate the introduction, and good morning, everybody. I see we have a good audience and a mixture of users, from end users to integrators to engineering firms, as well as the folks from Advantage. I am Scott Duhame up here in the Boston area, and pleased to introduce to you the concept of iFIX 6.0. If you're a long-time iFIX user, thank you. These remarks are probably more tailored towards the experienced audience, and if you're fairly new or interested to find out more about what iFIX is after this presentation, contact Steve or myself. Would be happy to provide you with the information that you need. So iFIX has been in the market for a very long time, and we have customers that are on very different versions for different reasons, and they always ask us, so you've come out with a new version, why should I upgrade? Well, it's always a good idea where you can to stay as current as you can, primarily because being on an obsolete version, increases your risk in many, many ways. So it's about risk reduction, primarily for supported software. As we build new versions here at GE, we are leveraging Secure by Design technologies. We actually put our latest products through third-party testing to find potential vulnerabilities, and we are asked by the security team to eliminate those through code. Plus, just the way we design today, we're very focused on trying to minimize security threats, because we do recognize that to be probably the biggest threat to the technology stack. Plus, we build all of the SIMs that go into our previous versions go into the latest release in a single code base. Plus, we are always looking at how do we decrease any downtime or the risk of downtime in our technology, and also the operating systems. That Microsoft is constantly pushing out new operating systems. We do test our latest software on the latest operating system. It works with several systems back. I'm sure that you're under pressure from IT to make sure you stay current with Windows, so that's another great reason. Plus, as we build in new capabilities, such as incorporating new standards like the high-performance HMI, we'd like you to take advantage of those, and primarily it's to increase your own productivity and make your operators far more effective. And of course, we have new capabilities, and they're all either geared towards the concept of the high-performing operator or rapid application development. And as we thank you for being longtime customers, many of you pay an annual support fee, which we now call acceleration plans. And one of the key benefits of being on an acceleration plan is being able to take advantage of the new releases as they come out. So all good reasons to upgrade. So why are we here? Really to talk about iFIX 6.0. So iFIX 6.0 was released in the end of October of last year, and so many of the themes that we started with some previous releases are continuous, the continued development in that regard. Number one on our mind is the operator, right? So really iFIX as the HMI SCADA tool used around the world in various operations. It's really about the operator and trying to make the operator as effective as they can, because most of machine downtime is still caused by human error. So we're very focused on providing the operator with the tools and the information that they need at the right time, not too much, so that they can improve their productivity and decrease risk and focus on equipment uptime. The second community that we're very focused on with our HMI SCADA development is the folks that are actually building the application for the operator. So we call these rapid application development tools, really trying to decrease the time it takes to deploy a project and improve time to value. Then the third area is introducing standards, either emerging standards or standards that have been around for a while, but trying to eliminate, the kind of the custom or the very specific technologies that we have and focus on open standards so that we can get to a pure plug-and-play environment. So those are the automation themes that we've started, and with 6.0 they continue. So very specific. For iFIX 6.0, we're enabling the high-performance operator on a rapid application development platform. And the ways that we're doing that is, first, modifications to the database so that we now support long tag names and descriptions, basically that move from 30 characters for iFIX in the database from 30 characters that have been in play for a long time to supporting 256 characters. And why do we do that? And I'll talk a little bit more about each of these things, but it's really to support the hierarchy that you're building in your PLC and be able to incorporate directly into the database. The second main component that we've introduced with iFIX 6.0 is a concept of alarm shelving. Again, very focused on standards here. So there's a standard called ISA 18.2 alarm management, and alarm shelving is one of those things that really says, hey, the operator is got a lot going on. It's a challenging role, and we only want to provide them with the information they need at the right time. So let's eliminate the noise through temporary alarm suppression for those alarms that just shouldn't be firing at this time. And I'll go into a little bit more detail on this. And then another standard that has emerged over time is OPC-UA. And so with this release of iFIX, we provide an OPC-UA server, and primarily that is to allow iFIX to be a source of data, not only just the data, the values, but alarms and events for other third-party applications. And this is to enable things like your ecosystem, secure access into data. And I'll get into that one a little bit more as well. And then for those of you that have seen our emerging Web HMI strategy, we have a Web HMI container that uses Simplicity, Workspace, Historian, and iFIX as the data. We've reduced the amount of time it actually takes to deploy applications that you're building in iFIX and pushing them into the Web HMI. So we're doing that with the automatic picture publish. And lastly, kind of the main thing is we understand that there's demands from IT and folks that support these applications to have better tie-in with, the Windows Active Domain accounts. And so we support not only domain caching, which is where if the domain is unavailable, yet we want to still log into iFIX. And then the second piece to that is multiple domain support, primarily for those large corporations that have multiple domains, and people can log in and use that type of application. One of the things that we've done with this particular release is create short 3 to 5 minute videos that can introduce these features in a nice manner. So there's a link there at the bottom of the slide, and we'll make these slides available, as well as this recording will be available to you. But that's a nice link to bookmark in your browser to learn a little bit more about these particular things. So I'll go into each of these in a little bit more detail, and then we can move toward your questions. So long tag names, fairly self-descriptive, of course. This handles both the tag name and the description. We've increased it for 30 characters, and it really is to support any hierarchy that's coming from the PLC. So as you see in the little gray box, we have the concept of an S95 model there, and we're finding that more and more customers are actually programming that entire hierarchy right into the tag name or into the namespace. And we all want to be able to grab this and put this right into the database without having you concatenate or come up with some other way to compress those tag names. This is a fairly fundamental change to the iFIX database that we haven't done in a very, very long time. it changes not only the core database itself, but the visualization elements such as the tag browsers, etc., as well as the EDA that wraps itself around it. So one of the things that you'll find is it does impact how you upgrade. So when you go from an earlier version of iFIX, whether it's 5.50, 5.5, 5.8, 5.9, you want to make sure you update your clients. If you use a lot of thick clients in your plant, make sure you update your clients to 6.0 first before you update the server node, because once you update the server node to 6.0, older clients won't be able to connect, and that is absolutely due just to the long tag name. So keep that in mind, and of course, Steve and his team has already helped customers upgrade through this process, so if you need some support, they can certainly give it to you, and it's well documented as well in the ebooks. So moving on to alarm shelving. Alarm shelving is primarily an operator runtime type event where they want to shelve or temporarily hide or silence alarms for a predefined period of time, primarily because they're probably putting a section of the plant into a maintenance mode. For example, if there's paint going on, or if they're bringing a piece of equipment down for maintenance, and that operator just doesn't want to be bothered by nuisance alarms. So it provides the operator the capacity to shelve an alarm, and it comes out of that shelved state at the end of that time. This is based on a standard. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the standard. It's an 18.2 alarm management standard, and that's really the focus of this. So think about it as an operator thing. So what we've done here again are some changes to the database blocks. We've enabled most of the blocks to be shelved, and so from a database perspective or a development perspective, we've added some attributes that say, hey, we're going to allow this block to be shelvable, and then we're going to build in up to 20 different shelving policies. For example, 1 day, 1 hour, 1 shift, 1 week. And so that is actually built into the database block. So that's the alarm shelving. So there's a configuration element done at the block level to create those alarm policies, but it's the runtime capacity for that operator to actually do the shelving. So using the alarm summary grid or some ActiveX control that is built into your application, you can basically take, hey, these alarms, I want to shelve them, and then the operator can say, I want to pick from one of those pre-existing times, like I can pick a pre-duration here, or I can go to a maximum duration, or I can pick my own custom duration. And so the operator now has the capacity to, again, pick from a pre-existing list or pick their own shelving time and have that alarm automatically unshelve. And that is a security concern. So we have that automatically unshelve at the end of that time because, for example, if it's Friday and I pick 24 hours for shelve and I'm not working on the weekend, we want that alarm to be unshelved so it comes into that natural state all by itself. So that's a little bit about alarm shelving, and again, well documented in the ebooks. The next piece is OPC UA. So OPC UA is a unified architecture. It really is what is considered the new generation of OPC. It is a standard, and it's really based on a client-server architecture. And the benefits of OPC UA is it provides a lot of robust data modeling capability, such as a hierarchical data modeling. It's encompassing, so it does handle data, alarms, conditions, etc. It's also secure because it bases its security on authentication, authorization, encryption, and digital signatures. So, there's a digital certificate that's engaged here, which means that the server must trust the client before it shares information. The other benefit of OPC UA is it's far easier to configure than the DA, the DCOM. There's no DCOM setting. So if you've struggled with that in the past, you can certainly understand what I'm saying. So really, OPC UA has becoming the emerging standard, and we're embracing that with an OPC-UA server. And the OPC-UA server is very easily configured now. We've added a configuration element in our workspace called OPC-UA configuration. You can configure it right there. It's an add-on to iFIX, so it's not necessarily required, but only if you want to enable it. And you can then have iFIX communicate to OPC-UA clients. Now, they could be our own client. For example, we tested it with Simplicity. So you can actually have iFIX as a source. You can have your Simplicity, clients, and you can actually see data and you can write back with this capability. But most likely is you're using a third-party client, whether it's some analytic engine. And a lot of our customers have asked, hey, we want to provide our supply chain, with secure access through firewall, and this is the method that they've asked us to implement. So you can provide, the current data value very easy through this particular application. Then the fourth major component, as I said, is a closer tie-in. If you've played with or you're actually deployed our Web HMI capability, you know that iFIX or Simplicity is your publishing element where you create your process mimics, but there's a number of steps you have to go through to actually deploy that. And what we've done here is actually, decrease or eliminate those steps. And so it's as you create your picture in iFIX, you can select this element and you can configure it so that it automatically publishes your pictures to the Web HMI. And so again, a rapid application development, fewer clicks, simple deployment, just tightening the integration between iFIX and Web HMI even more. So you can leverage that tool. So that's part of the rapid application development. Domain support. This is something that our user base has been asking primarily, hey, we're keeping all of our, usernames and passwords and privileges in Active Directory. We want better support, so that iFIX can support those kind of things. One is, well, we've got a kind of a wireless or remote stations, and sometimes the domain is not available, yet we want to be able to log into iFIX even when not connected to a domain. So that's what the concept of domain caching and the logon information persists, to comply with Microsoft security. And you enable this through the secnet.ini file. So, again, we want to be careful with security, yet we want to provide access to the application when the domain is unavailable. That's the domain caching piece. And then the support for multiple domains. You can imagine corporations that have locations, all over the globe, and people may have logins to multiple domains. So now the security synchronizer is supporting users that have multiple domains. It's an iFIX application that allows you to assign iFIX security privileges to the user accounts based on Windows security settings. And we allow Windows security as the central source of configuration for both Windows and iFIX user accounts. So again, we're trying to make it simple to deploy these applications and support these applications, and that's what this development is meant to be. For those of you that actually use scripting and VBA, we get this question all the time. Hey, are you getting, are you moving away from VBA support? And actually, no, we're embracing it. So all of the alarm shelving capability that we just introduced, we've exposed new methods so that you can programmatically tap into alarm shelving with your own graphics or visualization. And so it's programmatically available. So there are 5 new methods that we've introduced to support our alarm shelving programmatically. Again, those of you that have been on the ride for iFIX for a long time, this is just a ribbon bar that kind of shows you the development. It's a good testament to your investment in us, in Global Care and now AP. So we appreciate that. So as you can see, we've moved the timeline. We had a gap between 5.8 and 5.9. We're now on a regular cadence of releases, trying to get some type of release out every year. So 5.9 was released in 2017, and then 6.0 was released about 14 to 15 months after that, and that's the release that we have today. We do have to kind of reduce the support backlog we have on some of the older versions So when we released 6.0, we talk about stopping, support for 5.5. That time clock started in October, so we'll still support 5.5 for another year or so. But we encourage you to have plans to start to move towards some of the later versions of iFIX. For example, we're no longer supporting things like Windows XP, and we're moving off of certain Windows 2008. Our main platforms or our main operating systems for testing iFIX 6.0 right now are Windows 10 for the PC-based machines and Windows Server 2016. And again, we have all of the systems that we've supported are in our documentation. And of course, as we know, Microsoft is just their release 2019. We're not yet supporting that, but as you can imagine, as Microsoft moves forward, we have to move our platforms forward as well. Not really intending to talk about future roadmap, but we are currently planning for what we're going to be releasing this year. And it's really an extension of what we've just done with 6.0. So the things that we've just released, such as long tag names, OPC UA, those are themes that we're going to continue growing upon, as well as the kind of the Windows login stuff. Those are themes that we're building upon, and our vision is to actually get to the point where we can do plug and play SCADA. And so we're very excited about those kind of things. The things that we're probably coming out with later this year, it'll probably be an interim release. We don't anticipate a licensing change, but enhancing our alarm shelving capability, enhancing OPC UA with an OPC UA client capability, and then our high performance graphic library. We're seeing a lot of improvements in those kind of things. So that's kind of where the future is going, and I'll just use the safe harbor statement that says that's our intent, but things may change. Just giving you an idea of what we're thinking of in the future. So we're very excited about iFIX. We're actually we should have a press release on iFIX 6.0 that will be released today. So you may see that in publications with quotes from Matt Wells, our VP of Product Management, as well as folks from ARC and customers. So very excited about that press release. And at this point, we're certainly willing to take questions from the audience. So thank you very much. Those are the end of my prepared remarks. Again, I'm Scott Duhane, Product Manager for iFIX, and Steve Smith from Advantage, and we're here online to answer any questions that you might have at this time. Okay, I see one. Do you have screenshots for high-performance SCADA made on this new version? In this presentation, I do not, but yes, we definitely do. And if you actually go to our the GE website and you look under our automation and iFIX products, you will definitely see some screenshots there. But if there's some specific screenshots that you're looking for, send us an email offline and we'll see what we can do to help you.
Hey, Scott, I think one of the questions people are going to always ask is there a documented upgrade procedure, or is it in the getting started guide, or when they're trying to go from a 5.x to 6.x? What are the things to back up, look out for? That's going to be the common question most people are going to be asking.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we do. It's probably an area we could do better at, Steve. However, the upgrade procedure, certainly from 5.9 to 6.0, even 5.8 to 6.0, is fairly seamless. It is an in-place upgrade. Of course, we always recommend that you do normal operating procedures, such as if you're on a virtual machine environment, take snapshots, or if you're on a physical machine environment, do a complete backup. But you can fundamentally install the software right on top of your existing application, and your database and your pictures and all of that will come along for the ride. As I said, note that with 6.0 and the long tag names, We do recommend that you update your clients first. Obviously, if you're using thin terminal services, that's somewhat easier than updating a lot of thick clients. But note that once you update your SCADA node to 6.0, any older clients won't be able to connect to that, and that we do spell out in the product documentation. If you're on much earlier versions and your graphics are, fixed desktop, that means that you're on like 5.0 or 5.1. There are procedures to go through to move off of that, onto the workspace type environment. So we do have documented some of the procedures to come along. With 5.9, we did introduce a new graphical engine, but again, your pictures aren't converted automatically. You can go through them one by one to update them, but in terms of the core, it's a fairly straightforward update.
I think one other thing that there's always been some confusion, and Hayes and my team and I have had to clarify for customers that the backup and restore wizard is not really to be used for migrating from version to version. It's more for disaster recovery of a particular node that failed and you need to recover it. So I just want to make sure everybody understands there are guidelines. Hayes and Scott have them as to what you need to do along what Scott says, but do not use the backup and restore wizard to try and change node names or migrate from one version to another. It's more for disaster recovery of a particular install, like a Cronus.
Yep. So here's a question that comes in. How about upgrading from a very older version like iFIX 3.5? How much effort is involved? I don't have experience on that, but I don't know if Hayes or Steve would like to comment on what it takes to upgrade from an older version like that.
I think there's certain things about iFIX. A lot's going to depend on whether or not they're using the fixed desktop application. Install paths are going to change, things like that. But pretty much everything else, I think, Hayes would be specific as to if there's anything unique about that would, custom. The biggest thing is if you got some custom ActiveX controls or custom scripts and things out there, you just need to make sure they work in the new environment.
That's right. So I think, if you've got concerns about upgrading, obviously contact Steve and his team. They'd be happy to help if you're working with a specific integrator and they have experience. That's great too. It's always nice to be able to phone a friend. I think there's plenty of friends out there that can help you walk through the process. I do see that Alicia is adding some links here to the iFIX webpage. In addition, the data sheet, which will talk about system requirements and that kind of thing, always a good place to start. There are also, if you are an existing customer and you have access to Customer Center, the documentation, so the ebooks have been published as PDFs, and you can find them there. They're easy to search for, and you can download those ahead of time rather than waiting for the program to install and be available. You can find those PDFs on the customer support site. So I guess we're at the bottom of the hour, and it was scheduled for half an hour. This has been recorded and will be posted, and the presentations will be made available. Obviously, if you have questions that come up after this call, Steve and his team are always willing to answer. Appreciate your support here. iFIX has been a product that's been in the market for a very long time. We're very excited about what we're doing with it now, and we continue to invest in the platform. It's one of our most important software products here at GE, and we thank you very much for your patronage and your time today, and we wish you a pleasant day.
The HMI is a really unique thing because what it does is it connects humans with machines.
The new generation of HMI SCADA is about making operators more effective, and what we're doing is we're providing the tools to really help customers build it a lot faster, deploy it faster, and make the operator be able to respond to situations more quickly. We've continually evolved the solution with the times. That gives our customers the benefit of our long history and experience. At the same time, we're providing those modern interfaces that the new users of today expect.
Efficient HMI really aligns with a standard in the industry called ISA 101. The standard itself is trying to promote practices for consistency that operators and other users can rely upon in their graphical interfaces. We incorporate alarm strategies around 18.2, and we also incorporate HTML5 from the ground up. And what that means is it's very high performing. Our system provides a role-based navigation so that for that user, they can see what's important to them.
Efficient HMI is really about providing a better user experience for the operator.
It's very hard for users to extract what's important about what's going on at that moment when they're being inundated with so much unnecessary information on their screens.
A couple of major pain points for operators is reducing machine downtime and decreasing risk of the operation. So the screens that they're dealing with provide them instant information as to what areas of the plant they should be responding to first. And one of the ways we're helping is to build a container that allows an operator to see their plant in model context. So in other words, they can see their assets, they can see all of the information about an asset on a single screen, whether that would be all the alarms that are related to that specific asset. And as they navigate the model, the context shifts for them, so they don't have to rebuild all the applications.
We have a lot of customers that have a lot of heavy equipment, and they do regular maintenance schedules on those pieces of equipment. And that has a heavy influence as to how their operations are impacted when a piece of equipment goes down. The efficient HMI standards, or the ISA 101 standards, really promote the idea of common symbols to use in your process, common color patterns, common ways to position objects on a screen, so that the end users can really rely upon and feel good about the information that's being presented to them.
When we look at what GE has done with their Web HMI product, Predix, it allows them to rethink network schemes. The change with the Web HMI product allows us to contextualize the outcomes. So I want to know, does this pump run more efficiency when it's next to its other 3 pumps? Should I turn this pump up 5% or start another pump? What's the most efficient operation, and ultimately what's the most cost effective? And both from a cost perspective, but also from a long-term asset play. And if I could put a screen on every device, you could do that today with the new software. It enables a mobility strategy that never existed before. Having smartphones, having screens of any size, anywhere, at any time, changes your operation.
We don't want users to have to go find, hunt, and peck for information, which is time consuming. We lessen the distractions to make them more successful. Alarms should truly drive action. We want to make sure that there's indicators across our system to notify users in a very intuitive manner as to the criticality of a situation.
GE is helping customers manage their alarm response process better, make it very easy for the operator to understand what they need to focus on first. What it means for the future of our customers' business is less time in creation of the application and more time working on what's really important.
We have the ability to reduce the amount of customization and touch points from a development perspective, which saves them time and money.
So we bring that transformation, that digital transformation that allows you to empower people and change their technology fundamentally and how they're acting and behaving.